Hey everyone, welcome back to Dinar Daily. Tonight we are tracking a significant narrative taking shape, a story that suggests we might be observing a profound shift happening just beneath the surface of the global financial world. The focus, as always, remains on the Iraqi dinar and the Vietnamese dong, but the reports circulating now are pointing to something far more intricate than simple market speculation. There's talk of hidden preparations, of quiet but deliberate moves, and of a pattern forming that some observers believe could signal a long-discussed rebalancing of currency values. These are not just isolated rumors but a series of interconnected events that, when viewed together, paint a picture of quiet readiness. The discussions suggest we may be closer than ever to a significant financial moment, and the signs being pointed to are described as unique and unprecedented in this long-running story, one of the most compelling pieces of this puzzle, which has gained significant traction across various dinar and dong communities, is the emergence of a mysterious map. This document is being discussed as a potential layout of redemption or exchange locations spread across the United States. It's being referred to by many as a possible RV center map. In the past, such claims have often been dismissed as pure speculation or wishful thinking. However, those following this story closely are suggesting that this time the context feels different. The appearance of this alleged map is not happening in a vacuum. It coincides with a flurry of other reported activities across the financial spectrum, leading some to believe it warrants a closer look as a piece of a much larger, coordinated puzzle. What is particularly fascinating to those analyzing this alleged map is the level of detail it reportedly contains. The locations are not just clustered in the expected major metropolitan and financial hubs, such as Dallas, Miami, or Denver. Instead, the map allegedly shows a wide distribution, including smaller regional centers located throughout the Midwest and the Pacific Northwest. The interpretation being offered by community observers is that this widespread placement is deliberate, not accidental. It suggests a logistical plan designed to efficiently serve currency holders across the entire country if and when a time for exchange arrives. This level of detail, they argue, points away from random guesswork and towards methodical, high-level preparation. The implications of such a map, if it were proven to be genuine, are significant. Setting up a network of secure exchange facilities is not a simple task. It requires an immense investment of time, financial resources, and most importantly, official coordination between various entities, likely including financial institutions and security apparatuses. The argument being made is that if these centers are already mapped out and prepared, it would signal that a much larger, more complex operation has been developing quietly behind the scenes for a considerable period. This is what's fueling the idea that the discussions have moved from a theoretical what if to a practical how to, focusing on the logistics of a major financial event. In financial terminology, this preparatory phase is often described by insiders as the silent countdown. This is the critical period when all systems are being tested. Data is being synchronized across different networks, and every component is moved into a state of final readiness, all without any public announcements or fanfare. To the outside world, everything appears to be business as usual. The markets are calm and news reports are routine. But underneath that placid surface, observers suggest every system is alive with activity, testing, and alignment. It's being compared to standing near a rocket on the launch pad just before liftoff. Everything looks still, but that stillness is filled with immense power, precise timing, and building pressure. Many who claim to have inside knowledge describe this exact period as the silence that feels loud. And that is the precise atmosphere being reported right now. According to these narratives, the current silence in the financial world is not an absence of activity but rather the very sound of intense preparation. This feeling is reportedly being corroborated by unusual happenings inside major banks, which seem to match this description perfectly. Observers who monitor banking systems closely have been reporting a series of anomalies, including unexplained overnight system outages, quiet updates to back-end currency systems, and the circulation of internal memos regarding new, specialized training sessions for certain staff members. These are not the only reports coming from the banking world. It has been alleged by some that certain bank employees have been given unusual directives, such as being told to remain available for short-notice assignments, with a particular emphasis on the next 2 weeks. Those familiar with standard banking operations note that this is highly irregular. Such directives are not part of routine procedure and look more like a quiet coordination effort for a significant, non-standard event. The speculation is that such measures would only be taken if the institution were anticipating a sudden, massive surge in specific customer activity, suggesting a major change is not only expected but imminent. While these preparations are reportedly happening in the West, the pace of activity in Iraq itself has been described as accelerating rapidly. The Central Bank of Iraq and the Ministry of Finance have reportedly held a series of high-level meetings. The focus of these discussions is said to be on comprehensive monetary reform, the modernization of cross-border transactions, and deeper integration into the global trade ecosystem. A significant part of this effort, according to reports, involves the push to connect the Iraqi Dinar with international payment systems that operate under the new ISO 20022 digital standard. A move that is being watched very closely by the international community. The adoption of ISO 20022 is not a minor technical modernization. It is a full-scale financial alignment. This is the same advanced standard used by the world's major economies for secure, standardized, and instant money transfers. The reasoning provided by analysts is that a country does not undertake such a complex and expensive integration unless it has a clear intention for its currency to move freely and be fully accepted across global markets. This digital framework is seen as the essential foundation required before any major change in the currency's value can be successfully implemented and recognized internationally. It's a move toward transparency, security, and interoperability with the entire global financial system. At the same time, Vietnam is reportedly showing similar and parallel movements, which is only adding to the speculation of a coordinated event. The State Bank of Vietnam is said to be actively strengthening its trade ties with a host of other nations, including major players like China, India, and the BRICS member countries. This strategic positioning is aimed at diversifying its economic partnerships and increasing its footprint in global trade. The official language being used in these discussions is also being scrutinized, with terms like greater currency flexibility being mentioned. Economists and financial analysts recognize this specific terminology as a potential signal for an upcoming adjustment in the currency's valuation. Vietnam's economic fundamentals are also a key part of this narrative. The country has experienced rapid industrial growth and has become a global manufacturing and export powerhouse. This strong economic performance has, according to observers, positioned it perfectly to play a much larger role in the world economy. The reported alignment of the Vietnamese dong with new global trade mechanisms and advanced technology systems is therefore seen as anything but a coincidence. Instead, it is viewed as a deliberate and strategic maneuver, timed to coincide with a broader shift in the financial landscape, mirroring the very steps being taken by Iraq. The fact that both Iraq and Vietnam seem to be moving in sync is a crucial element of the current discussion. Observers note that these parallel advancements, both in terms of digital integration with systems like ISO 20022 and in strategic trade alignments, are precisely what one would expect to see before a major, coordinated financial event. If one country were to make such a move in isolation, it could be dismissed as simple national policy. But the simultaneous lockstep progress of both nations is what has convinced many in these communities that they are witnessing a planned and synchronized adjustment on a global scale. Returning to the details of that leaked exchange map, the document reportedly contains more than just a logistical outline of locations. It is said to divide the United States into various regions based on a specific exchange priority. This detail is being interpreted to suggest that the redemption process when it begins, might be rolled out in strategic waves rather than all at once. This phased approach would, in theory, help manage the enormous logistical challenge of such an event, preventing chaos and ensuring a more orderly process for all participants involved in the exchange. Within this priority system, the term Tier 4B is frequently mentioned. In the lexicon of these communities, Tier 4B is understood to represent the general public, the ordinary currency holders who are not part of large institutional or government groups. According to the speculation surrounding the map, this group is likely to be among the first invited to participate in the exchange once the official window opens. The map's alleged clustering of centers, ensuring that every major population area is within a reasonable distance of an exchange facility, is seen as further proof of a meticulous plan designed for a smooth and efficient public rollout. This level of detailed planning, observers argue, indicates a serious, well-funded, and coordinated effort moving far beyond simple guesswork or theory. When theoretical discussions about a financial event turn into observable evidence of real-world infrastructure and logistics, the nature of the conversation changes. It shifts from if to when, and from abstract hope to concrete preparation. This is the shift that many feel is happening right now, as the reported physical preparations seem to be aligning with an invisible digital backbone that is also being put into place for a revaluation of this magnitude to function on the global scale. It cannot rely on outdated systems. Every financial network, every central bank, and every major institution must be perfectly synchronized and capable of communicating securely and instantly. This is where the reports of a new digital backbone come in. The narrative claims that, behind the scenes, international payment networks have been rigorously testing new systems, including gold-backed ledgers, blockchain verification technologies, and instant cross-border transaction systems, all designed to handle a new financial reality. These advanced digital systems are crucial. They are being designed to ensure that once new currency rates are officially posted, every trade, every transfer, and every transaction can happen instantaneously and with complete security and verification. According to these reports, even top-tier international institutions have publicly confirmed that these kinds of system trials are, in fact, underway. Without this digital harmony, a global adjustment of this scale could never function and would likely collapse into chaos. The fact that this synchronization is reportedly nearly complete is being presented as one of the strongest pieces of evidence that readiness is no longer a theory, but a reality in progress. This brings us to the critical question of timing. Why 2025? Why does it seem to those watching that all of these disparate events are aligning right at this moment? The answer, according to the circulating narrative, is that this is the year when a massive, pre-planned wave of global economic reforms is scheduled to go live. We are talking about the activation of entirely new digital banking systems, the implementation of new international liquidity protocols, and the introduction of asset-backed value frameworks, all of which represent a fundamental change in how the global economy operates. This last point is seen as the linchpin. The global economy, according to this theory, is in the process of a historic shift, moving away from a system based on speculative wealth and debt-based instruments, toward one based on real asset-based value. In this new model, a country's wealth would be more directly tied to its tangible assets and real-world production. This is where Iraq, with its immense, world-class reserves of oil and gas, and Vietnam, with its powerful manufacturing and industrial base, fit perfectly into this evolving framework. Their rumored reemergence on the financial stage is therefore not seen as a coincidence or an isolated event. It is viewed as a matter of perfect timing and strategic alignment. The economic stage has been meticulously set, according to this narrative, for currencies that are tied to real-world production and tangible assets to finally rise and find their appropriate value. This is the larger context that supporters of the revaluation theory point to as the reason why 2025 is the focal point for all these reported Preparations for many within the Dinar and Dong communities. The journey has been incredibly long and, at times, exhausting. People have followed this story for years, navigating endless false alarms and filtering through countless exaggerated promises that led nowhere. It has been a test of patience and resilience. However, the sentiment being expressed right now is that this particular moment feels fundamentally different from all the previous waves of speculation. There is a palpable sense that the nature of the information has changed in a significant way. The reason for this shift in feeling, according to community analysts, is that the evidence is no longer coming just from anonymous sources or social media chatter. Instead, it is reportedly coming from observable, measurable, and verifiable movements in the real world. Tangible things like bank systems being upgraded, official international talks taking place, and verified patterns of logistical preparation are all being cited. This is what's being described as the critical shift from hype to logistics. It's the kind of quiet, methodical preparation that precedes any major, publicly announced event. Patience is still a key theme, but for many, that patience now has a foundation of substance to stand on. As this silent countdown allegedly continues, the advice being shared within these groups is to stay calm, stay organized, and above all, stay informed. The recommendations include ensuring that any foreign currency is safely stored, well documented, and easily accessible. People are being advised to keep their purchase receipts, bank records, and personal identification ready, and in order the strong consensus is that when the official communication finally arrives, it will come through proper, verified, and secure channels, not through unsubstantiated rumors on social media. Being ready in this context means being disciplined and prepared, not reactive or emotional. The individuals who remain organized and prepared are the ones who will be best positioned to move smoothly and efficiently through whatever process comes next. This disciplined approach is seen as the most logical response to the current state of reported readiness. Beyond the personal preparations, it is often emphasized why this potential event is seen as mattering on a global scale. The revaluation of the Iraqi dinar and the Vietnamese dong, in the context of this narrative, is not just about profit for individual holders. It is consistently framed as representing a fundamental rebalancing of global wealth and economic power. For decades, the global financial system has been concentrated around a few dominant currencies, creating a specific kind of economic hierarchy. This potential event is seen as a leveling of that playing field. It represents the possibility of a multipolar world where economies rich in assets and production can have their currencies reflect their true contribution to the global economy. This is not just a change in numbers on a screen. It's presented as an evolution in the very framework of global finance, a shift that could rewrite economic relationships and create a more balanced and equitable system for decades to come. That is the larger significance being discussed, and it's why so many are watching these quiet preparations with such intense focus.